Oh, snizzity snap. It is time for Tuesday talk, even though Tuesday was yesterday. I apologize. Once again, family stuff going on. So this week, it's going to be an interesting one, I think. It's something that I talked about with some people that I know, some of my friends, family, and things. And every time I try to explain it, it makes sense in my head. And for some reason, I don't know if it always comes out the right way. So I'm going to try to do my best to explain it to all of you. And let me know what you think. It's kind of a different topic in the sense of we all go through it. And I don't know if anybody else looks at it this way. So I'll start it off like this. Back in the 80s when I was growing up, when we were kids, I didn't like reading very much. And the only books that I did enjoy reading, they were called Choose Your Own Adventure. So if maybe some of you remember these kinds of books, they were pretty cool. They were only, not too thick. And I think in total they were 100 pages, something like that, 110 pages. But what was neat about them is you would start off the first chapter and you would start off on this path of how the story started, and you would always get to a point where it would say, if you want to do this, go to page 6, and if you want to do this, then go to page 8. And you could choose your own adventure, and then when you got to page 8, if that's what you chose, there'd be a point and it would say, okay, now if you want to do this, go to this page, and if you want to do something else, go to this page. And from what I remember, most of them were kind of had to do with castles and princesses and fighting dragons and that whole theme. And what I remembered, after you choose all the different paths, there was always one path that led you to the perfect ending, where you got the princess, you became the king, you slayed the dragon, and you lived happily ever after, right? But there was only one path. All the other paths led to, you got lost in the forest, and a bunch of elves took over, everything that was going on, or the dragon got you, or you went over here and you were kicked out of the kingdom forever. There's always all these other paths that were, they weren't as good, or they were actually terrible, where you either died or something bad happened to you. And I think the reason why I bring this up, I think that a lot of us, and I'm so guilty of this, and I've been guilty of this in the past, and I'm trying really, really hard not to do this now moving forward. A lot of us kind of live our lives this way, where it's almost like we think there's a perfect path, and if you make all the right decisions, everything's going to turn out exactly the way you would want it to. The perfect life with the perfect house and the perfect family and whatever it is that you think is perfect in your world, that's what you think is going to happen, but you have to make all the right moves along the way. And I definitely don't believe that, but life is kind of like this choose your own adventure, right? Where you come to kind of a fork in the road. Do I move to this location, or do I stay where I'm at? Or do I move maybe to a different location? And you make that decision, and then all the things happen in your life that, around that decision. And then you get to another decision. Do I take this job, or do I take this other job, or do I stay where I am? And all these things kind of are the kind of choose your own adventure type things that set you off on a whole new course. But it doesn't mean that any one of those courses has a destiny to the, at the end of it, where it's either going to lead you to somewhere great and all your dreams come true, or somewhere not as great and you just live a mediocre life maybe, or somewhere where it's terrible and it's, sends you to your demise. I truly believe it's definitely not that. Now, that being said, some of these decisions can make our lives more challenging. If you choose not to go to college, or you choose not to take this certain kind of job, maybe that's more stable. Obviously, that will create some challenges, but it doesn't mean that everything's going to work out great if you stay and take I don't want to say the easy road, but you take the more secure road, what seems to be the more secure road. You take a job that's got a base pay with benefits and all these things, right? A 401k, or do you start your own company and who knows what's going to happen? right? A lot of us get faced with these types of decisions, and I think we're contemplating what to do, we think, well, if I make the wrong choice, then, my life is over, or my life is not going to be the same. And that's okay. It's okay if it's not the same. It's never going to be the same, no matter what you choose. So I get in these conversations with people, and a lot of times I'll hear this, something like, well, I should have not taken that job, or I should have taken this other job, or I should have stayed in school and got my degree, or I should have done this and should have done that. And you can't go back. You can't make the change anyway. So it's kind of a waste of energy. And if your goals are such that you still want to go down another path, and that path requires you to get your degree, or a specific kind of a degree, or that path requires you to have a specific kind of work history, a background, then do those things. If you still want to get there, you still can get there, but you have to go through those steps. To say that I should have done it when I was younger and I didn't have kids and a family and all these other responsibilities, it doesn't matter now. If you still have that goal, then you have to go find a way. It's going to be difficult for sure. It's going to be extremely challenging, especially if you have a family that's not being supportive and they want you to stay keep doing what you're doing. But you have to make those decisions. But to think back and say, well, I should have, and here I'll use a good example. I use my own personal life as an example. So I've got passed over for jobs in the past where I didn't get a promotion, or I didn't get a specific kind of job. I couldn't even get an interview because I didn't have a college degree. I had a lot of experience. I had a great skill set that I could fall back on. I know I could outwork just about anybody that I was up against, but they wanted that piece of paper. They wanted that degree that said you completed, a 4-year college education. And so I would think, somebody in my shoes, and there's many of you out there that probably have been in this position, would look back and say, God, I should have stayed and got my degree. I went to 1-year college and I never went to class. And, obviously you don't go to class, you don't turn in your homework, you flunk out. And so to look back and say, well, I should have stayed, I should have worked harder, I should have got my degree. Well, for this job, maybe, to not be overlooked, maybe by other companies for other types of jobs, sure. Having your degree is an important factor. It's one of the requirements. But to look back and say, I should have done that differently, if I was able to, or had I done it differently, my whole life now, as we know it today, would be completely different. For starters, I wouldn't have my son, because I had my son after I had left college and moved to a different state. I never would have met his mother, and maybe I would have had another kid, but it wouldn't have been my son who it is now. So would I trade that to go back and just to get my degree for this one job? Well, of course not. So that line of thinking it's not even a good or valuable line of thinking. And all the people that I've had in my life in the meantime, since I left there and moved and had all these experiences, all these great and wonderful experiences, most likely none of these people would have been in my life. Other people would have been in my life, sure. Does it mean they would have been better? No. I would never trade the life that I had and the friends that I've had and the friends that I have now. I would never trade that to go back and get. Now, if I want to go get my degree, so I can go maybe give myself another opportunity at a different company where they're going to require a college education, then I should go get my degree. But I shouldn't think I wish I would have went back. I wish I would have done that differently, because had I done it differently, my whole world would have shifted. I would be somebody else differently completely. I wouldn't even be the same human being that I am today. I would have way different experiences. And let's say, right, let's kind of play it out a little bit. Let's say I stayed and got my degree, and I got out and I had a nice cushy job waiting for me, and I made great money, and I advanced myself up in the company, and became vice president, at a really young age because I worked really, really hard. I mean, I've always had a very good work ethic, so I worked very hard, and I beat out, you know, all the other competitors and all my peers, and worked my way up very quickly. And I know myself. Maybe that goes to my head. Maybe that gives me a big ego, and all of a sudden I start feeling invincible, and I get heavy into drugs, or I get a super fast, you know, sports car, and I'm driving all fast and crazy one night, you know, maybe a little tipsy home from, you know, nice little happy hour, and I get into a terrible accident, and I'm paralyzed, or even worse, right? It cost me my life. Or I meet somebody and I'm all about, you know, maybe what they bring to the table, not about the person that they really are, and I marry the wrong person, and she makes my life miserable, and, you know, all these things could have happened. I'm not saying it would have definitely turned out terrible, but it could have. Just because I got my degree and maybe would have gotten a really, really good job and worked my way up very quickly doesn't mean it would have led to happiness. It doesn't mean that. And I think so many times we think that if I would have done that, it was guaranteed happiness. That would have been the path in the Choose Your Own Adventure book, where I get to the end and I slay the dragon and I get the princess and I become the king. That was the path, and I missed it. And I think a lot of us think that way. And we still do it even today, where we make a decision, we choose a road, we go down that road, and later on we go, I should have chose the other path. No. If you're missing something in your life, find out what it is and what it's going to take to get there, and you can still go after it. Choose your own adventure today. You can make a decision today and start a new path. And if the path is to get to, I want to get to this point, and it requires you making a shift in the direction you're going right now, then make the shift. And it's probably not going to be easy, right? If you're 2 years down the road, 5, 10 years down the road, time's not on your side, you have more responsibilities most likely, maybe your drive, your energy level isn't where it was, and it's going to be more difficult. But if that's what it is, if it's just making a shift in the direction that you want to go, then make that shift. But don't second guess the decision that you made, because you can't change it anyway. I talk to so many people, and I hear it all the time. I should have done this, I should have done that. You don't know where that path would have led you. It could have led you to your demise the very next day. It may have led you to a you know, quote unquote better life financially. But does that mean a better life overall? Think about the people you have in your life right now, okay, that you met after that point in your life. You most likely would have never met them. So would you give them up for a change in this lifestyle that you think would be better? It's not even guaranteed it would have been better. Maybe you would have got the job, maybe you would have hated it and felt like you couldn't left. And every day you're just miserable going to work. You have a boss who's a tyrant, who works you to the bone. You know, there's so many things, there's so many factors that could have played out in a different way, and none of these are a guarantee it would have turned out better. I should have picked this girl, I should have picked this guy. Yeah, maybe. But your life would be different. And it doesn't mean it would be better different. And even if you're feeling like, well, right now, I'm going through all these terrible things in my life because I did pick this person, or I did pick this job, and I'm miserable right now. Yeah, you're miserable right now. But you don't know what's on the horizon. You don't know what's to come. And if you think about it in those terms, if you think about it like, here's where I am now, but where do I want to go? Right? I've talked about setting the goals and doing all these things. So if that's where you are now, and you are miserable or not unhappy, not content, ask yourself where you want to go. Where do you want to be? I used to hate that question. I mean, where do you want to be and where do you see yourself in 5 years? I always felt like it was a set-up question. And for some people it was, right? They were trying to sell you something, or hey, come and get involved in this or that. But think about it. Where do you want to be in 5 years? Do you want to be exactly where you are today, or worse? Or do you want to be in a better situation? And what does better mean? What does better mean? Is it only financially? Is it, and I get it, finances are important. You got to have a roof over your head. You want to have food. If you have kids, you want them to have what they need. If they have activities they're involved in, you want them to be able to do those things because they all cost money somehow, some way. So money's important, but if it's the only important thing, your vision and your direction can get blurred and skewed. If you know where your bills are, your bottom line bills, and you know what it's going to take to cover them, and you know that having this job, and maybe you have a knack for it, and maybe you love to do it too. If it's accounting and you need to go get your accounting degree, then go do that. And if you do have kids and you're a single parent, and even if you're not a single parent, but if you have kids and a family and they have expectations of you, your time, it's going to be very difficult to go get your accounting degree so you can go do that. It will be difficult. It's going to be very challenging, but it can be done. If it means you have to go to, we live in a day and age, obviously I'm talking to everybody here through my phone, and then I broadcast it all over on Facebook and on YouTube, and anybody in the world can see it. We live in a great time, and you can go and get your degree. You can get a legitimate degree online and go after your dreams. It's not like you have to take night classes and physically go to another building and under their hours and things like that. There's a lot of different options you can do. So we live in a time where there's a lot of resources. So figure out where you want to go. Don't live in the past in this dreamland of, oh, I should have done this whole thing differently. Because you can't do it differently. And I bet you probably wouldn't want to. What you're really saying is, I want to change my circumstances right now. I don't like where I am. I don't like where I'm going because I can see the path that I'm going down. So that's what you need to fix. That's the adventure. Now you need to choose your adventure moving forward. You can't change it going backwards in the past, and you probably wouldn't want to. You probably wouldn't have your kids. You wouldn't have the friends that you have. There'd be a lot of experiences that if you thought back, if the decision was 5 years ago, and I should have done it differently. But you think about all the experiences you've had in those last 5 years, all the wonderful, great, mind-blowing, just make your soul light up experiences. And you're going to give all those up. You would give all those up for that one decision to be different, and you don't even know how that path goes. You don't know where that road ends. It could lead to the dragon that slays you. It could lead to the elves that rob you. It could lead to you're lost in the forest forever. It doesn't mean that path was going to be the perfect path where you end up with the kingdom. So I think we got to stop thinking that way, because it's a waste of energy. You can't change it. And I'll say it again, I really don't think you would want to. If the circumstances are right now that I want to change where I'm at and I want to change the path that I'm on because I don't like where it's going, that's what you got to focus on. You can choose your own adventure today and make a decision right now. Even if it's late at night and you're almost ready to fall asleep and go to bed, you can still jump online and enroll yourself in classes if that's what it's going to take. You can write down the first steps tomorrow morning, what you're going to do to get onto the path of the place that you want to go. And you can get there. I promise you can. I promise you it's going to be hard. All of life's things that are worth having are hard. And even if even if they're not hard for somebody else, even, if you have that friend where it seems like everything just parts open for them to make it nice and easy, right? All the paths are paved and cleared for them. There's no obstacles or challenges, and everything they do turns to gold. And I'm going to start this company selling hats, and they open it up, and somebody gets a hold of it and thinks that it's the most awesome thing, and it takes off without doing any marketing. So what? So what? That's their path. That's not your path. Cheer them on. Be happy for them. If they're really a friend, be happy for them. Don't let those things discourage you. Let those things motivate you. Say, wow, look what they did. They set a goal, they put it in motion, and it's paying off. It's paying off really quickly, quicker than just about anybody else, But it paid off. Put yourself on that path. Don't sit back and do nothing because, oh, that's not fair. Everything they do turns to gold. Everything's so easy for them. So what? That has nothing to do with you. And guess what? If you don't do anything, if you do just say, I'm going to sit here and I'm just going to make faces and say it's not fair. You can do that. You absolutely can do that. But it's not going to affect them any at all. Their life's still going to be what it is. And all you're doing is negatively affecting your life. The path that you're choosing now is to just sit here and do nothing, when you should be out there doing something. But put out good, positive energy, positive vibes to them. Hey, great, wow. I saw you start that and took off like wildfire right away. That's amazing. Good for you. High five them, give them a hug, cheer them on. But hey, I got to go to work now. I got to go get on my path. You know, hey, I thought you were off today. What are you doing? What do you mean you have to go to work? Nah, yeah, that's my regular job. This is where I want to go. This is where I want to be. So I need to go do this now. I need to spend some time and energy on this every single day. Write it on your calendar. Put it on there. It's non-negotiable. Just like brushing your teeth, taking a shower, going to work, taking care of your kids, being there for your family, and doing something for a specific amount of time towards getting to your goals. That's the new adventure. That's where you're going from going down this path. You just, nope, I don't want to go down this path anymore. I want to go to page 8. Let's go to page 8. And now I'm going to start this new course and have a whole new adventure. And who knows where that other path would have taken you? But it doesn't matter now because now you've chosen this one. And make the most of that adventure. And you're going to get to a point in this adventure and you're going to go, do I continue down this path? Or maybe do I go this direction because this opened up over here? I never would have thought that would have happened. And you go down that path. Everybody in history, right? I used to watch CNBC, and they would have, the history of how these big corporations got started, Walmart and Nike and stuff. And I was always so fascinated because it always started as an idea in somebody's head, and now it's this multi-billion-dollar worldwide phenomenon, just massive company with thousands of employees and all these things. But at one point it was an idea, and who knows, at that time they all say we didn't know if it was going to work. We were just going to do it and try it because we believed it was going to work. We didn't really know. There's no guarantee. For every Nike and Walmart and Apple and all these other big companies, there's thousands of people who start companies that don't make it. And they all believe that they would, otherwise they wouldn't have tried and started. That's the first step. And there's so many of them. I used to work for this company, big multi-billion-dollar company, a big roofing distributor. And every year during the national meeting, the owner of the company who started it, he would tell us the history of the company, how it all got started. And the first time I heard it, I was blown away, because there was these points about a handful of times, in the first I don't know, whatever it was, 5-7 years of the company, there was all these points where he would tell us how if this didn't happen, we were going to go under. If this person didn't do this, we were going to go under. If we didn't get a little bit of good luck, we were going to go under. And I thought, wow. I mean, what is that? That it goes one way and it folds and never becomes anything. And it goes this, but it went this way, and now it became what it is today. And I guarantee you, Walmart had, all these companies have those kind of stories. And that's the adventure. That's the cool thing about life. We get to choose our adventure. But don't focus and spend any time and energy on coulda, woulda, shouldas. I should have done this differently. I should have done that differently. No. You are where you are. You learned from those experiences. You have experiences in life because of those decisions. And some are good and some are bad. Some are amazing. Some are terrible. But it's all a part of life. It's all a part of this whole experience. And you never know where even if things are hard today, where this path is going to lead you. We don't know how this adventure is going to end. And I truly believe that if you're a positive, good person and you take care of your responsibilities and you work hard, that it's going to pay off. And it doesn't just mean financially, but it will pay off for you. You will find happiness and contentment. And overall, looking back and go, wow, I didn't see it back then, but I'm glad it turned out the way it did. And, you know, kind of another theory I have about good and bad, or, you know, the yin and yang of life, is the reason why the good times, and especially the great times, feel so good is because we're weighing them up against those terrible bad times. We know what those terrible times feel like, and how it felt like despair, and what's the point, and crying, and ashamed, and just all the negative emotions that we can go through as human beings. You're going through all that. So when things come up on the other side, and you wake up and you're elated, and you look at your family and you smile and your heart warms up, and you're in your home and it feels like a home, it's so much love in here. And the simplest things like a breakfast with your family and getting coffee, or going out and getting the paper, or watching a show together, whatever it is that's making you happy, you can stop and think for a minute, this feels so good. And it feels so good because you remember what that terrible feeling was like. You get to measure it up against something. If every day, for the time that you were born to the time that you die, if every day was just completely awesome, where the seas parted for you, everything magically happened perfectly for you, and everything was wonderful, at some point you would go, it would just be another day. We all think right now that it would be well, that would be great. That would be perfect. I would love that. No, you wouldn't. Because you wouldn't even know what awesome felt like. Every day would be the same. There's nothing to measure it against. Every day would just kind of be bland. It would just be another day. And if something somewhat bad or tragic happened, it would almost kind of be a relief. You know, unless it cost you your life, a limb, or the life of a loved one very close to you, right? But hey, if you got into a car wreck, all of a sudden you're like, holy cow, this is exciting. Usually all the cars just get out of my way. Everything's just smooth sailing. You know? So choose your own adventure, starting today, not in the past. You can't do anything about the past. And I can't say it enough. You probably wouldn't want to. Yeah, you may get rid of some of the bad times that you had because of that decision, but you also would have gotten rid of all the good times, all the good people, all the great people. And if it would have cost you the kids that you have right now, the spouse that you have right now, the friends that you have right now, there's no way any of us would ever change that. We would never give that up. I mean, they make movies about this concept, right? And where you make you live a life, and then maybe you can go back and make a different decision, and you see how your life would have turned out. There's all these movies that touch on this concept, and I'm always very fascinated by them. And some of them I think are better than others. You know, one of my favorites is called The Family Man with Nicolas Cage. That's a good one, back in the 90s. Maybe it was early 2000s. You know, The Butterfly Effect. That's kind of a creepy one, a freaky one, where he's going back trying to make the perfect decision back at a certain period of time, but it always seems to mess something up in the future when he goes back. And that's how it would be. Yeah, if you could go back and change that decision, your whole life would be different. And if you kept the same memories, that would be a trip. I mean, I'm so fascinated by this concept. I think about it way too much, way too often, and it freaks me out because I couldn't imagine what that would be like, making a different decision in the past, going down that whole road, but having the same memories of all the things that I've been through in this life, and all the people that I know, and knowing that my wife now is walking around with somebody else, my son now doesn't even exist, okay? And all the people that I've known and loved in between that time, they all still are going on. They're still living. And I know where to find them, right? I know where they are. And I would have these memories of being with them and spending time with them and doing fun things with them, and they would have no memory of me. Like that is such a trip to me. Anyway, that's a little bit off the subject. It's kind of on the same topic, but I think about this concept a lot. And I think about it a lot because I have this conversation with so many people. And then so many people say, I wish I would have done this differently. That's not it. That's not the right thought, I don't believe. I think I don't like where I'm at now. I don't like some of the things in my life right now, so I need to change them. How do I change them? That's what we got to focus on. Not making this different decision in the past that would have altered our whole existence where we are today. And I'm not talking about yesterday. Even then, it would be, it would make some changes. If yesterday you decided to take this new job that you are today and right away you didn't feel like it was the right decision, if it's yesterday, you're close enough that you can probably make, a change in that real quickly, right? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about something years ago that would have altered everything where you are right now. And I wouldn't give it up. I would never give it up. Not for all the money in the world. Not for anything. The people I have in my life today, and especially my wife, my kids, the dogs that I've had, and of course my friends that I have, I would never give that up for anything. Just for a college degree, or for a high-paying job, or whatever it is that I would be struggling with. Right now, I got a great job. I have great opportunities. I have this podcast that I love to do so much, and I appreciate the people that listen. So let's not think that way. Let's choose our own adventure today and go down the path that we want to go to, starting right now, starting tonight, starting first thing in the morning. And it doesn't mean you can't do something about it tonight. Like I said, write it down. What are the steps? If you need to go online and look things up, write that down. If you need to go to a building to fill out forms, write that down. If you need to go online and register for classes, write that down. Write down all the steps that you believe that you're going to have to take first thing tomorrow morning, and then start doing those things. And if you have a job to go through first thing in the morning, do it on your lunch break. On my lunch break, I do one of a few things. I eat, obviously, and sometimes I'll listen to a podcast that I'm really into, and sometimes I'll work out. Sometimes I'll write down the notes for this podcast. Sometimes I'll write down notes for what I want to do for other things that I have going on. Sometimes I'll watch tutorial videos on jiu-jitsu because I want to learn, there's a move that I'm struggling with and I want to work something out in my head. All these things, utilize that time. You get 2 15-minute breaks, utilize that time. Don't just go sit somewhere. Go sit in your car or sit in the break room. Go somewhere where you can do something productive and make time. We all have extra time that we're not utilizing, that we're either using to just sit around, relax, and do nothing because, I need this break. I need this hour for me time. Yeah, you can do that, but sit somewhere comfortable in your home. If it's an office chair, if it's a sofa or a big oversized chair or one of those big beanbag love sacks, wherever you're going to sit, and have a pad and paper with you, or have your laptop with you or your tablet so you can start working on the things to work on. It's late at night tonight. I worked a whole day till 6:15ish. Okay, came home, changed, went to jiu-jitsu, came home, said goodnight to my family, and made myself a little bit of dinner, and I came right in here and did this. I could be sitting on the couch relaxing, chilling, going, it was a long, hard day. I deserve this relaxation time. Yeah, sure, maybe. But I also know I needed to get this podcast out. And these words, I had these thoughts in my head. I didn't even have to write anything down. I was going to write all my notes down, but I was like, I don't need to write this down. I think about this all the time. I'm so fascinated with this concept. I call it the alternative universe theory. Had I made this decision, your whole universe, there'd be a whole alternative universe that you would have lived. and all the people in your life today would have still existed, and you would be somewhere else and they would not know of you. And if you could really go back and make the change and not have the memories, you wouldn't know of them either. Can you imagine that? If you think about that, all the people that you love today, your friends, maybe even some of your family members, right? Your kids, your spouse, and think, we never would have known each other. The joy that I get from these people in my life, I never would have had. Doesn't mean you wouldn't have it very similar with other people, but you wouldn't have it with these people. That's a trip to me. That is so crazy to me, that thought. So, choose your adventure today. Get started on it. Get to where you want to go. Get there. You can get there. I promise you can. I'm going to get to where I want to go. I already know that. Nothing's stopping me. Except maybe a big truck hits me or something. But I don't worry about those things. I'm gonna press on. I'm gonna do what I need to do. And not make excuses. Make lists. Make things happen. Make positive steps forward. Choose your adventure today. So that's what I got today. Hope you guys enjoy listening. I've been getting a little bit of feedback from people. That's great. Even people I don't know. That's really cool that someone had found my podcast and actually listened to it and thought of, hey, I'm going to send them a note. I think that's great. So thank you so much. And I'm rooting for everybody out there. I'm a big fan, more and more lately, just being positive, helping people, smiling at people, making people laugh. And I hope more of us are doing that on a daily basis. It's infectious. It's good. It feels good. It feels good for both people. Someone smiles at you, you're like, wow, that feels good. You smile back at them and they're like, wow, that felt really good. I like the interaction we just had. So, choose your adventure. Get out there. Do what you need to do. Take positive steps to where you want to go. You can do it. I'm cheering for you. Sending out positive vibes. Lots of love and kisses as always. That's what I do. So have a great night. Thank you for listening. We'll be back next week. And yeah, I love you guys. Have a great